Okay, I'm just getting the live stream up and running, which is working. Hurrah! So, a couple of weeks ago, somebody reached out to me, sent me an email, asked me if I had flown into Isafjordur in Iceland, which is one of the areas of special interest that Microsoft added to the simulator some time ago. And I, of course, replied, said, yes, of course I have. When the update first came out, we all went and visited, but I thought, actually, I haven't been back. And seeing it as the CRJ has come out, and it's well capable of doing the crazy approach into runway 08 at Isafjordur, I thought we might go do it. So we're taking off from Keflavik. So I'm just going to grab my Xbox controller so we can go and take the camera for a look around the airport here. So I've just installed the airport from Orbx. It's available from both Orbx and Inibuilds. I'd forget my head if it wasn't screwed on. So we're going to go to the drone camera. You can see we just wound it up. So let's go and jump up in the air. So this is Keflavik. In fact, this may be slightly different than I was expecting. I'm just going to check something. So if we go and open the, if we go to Inibuilds, sorry, and we type in Keflavik, and let's go and have a look and see what we get. So does that look the same as what we've got here? I'm just being absolutely certain. This is the 2020 instance, so we've got the 2024 version of it here. Okay. So if we skip around the airfield, we're going to have a look around. There's a big old hangar over here. I'm wondering if this is updated and been changed, or if I haven't installed it properly, or if I'm at the wrong airfield. Let's go and have a look on LittleNavMap just briefly. So Keflavik, Reykjavik and Keflavik. Interesting. Okay, so it's a big airfield anyway. So we're over in this corner. I think we need to be going looking over here. I went and put ourselves near the runway we're taking off from. Yeah, this makes a lot more sense. So let's go and have a look. So this is the normal passenger terminals over here. So let's slow the drone camera down. And yeah, this is looking a lot more like the pictures. I just had a sudden worry there. I thought this isn't like the artwork I saw. So it's quite cool, isn't it? It's got animated air conditioning going out of the roof. And we're going to have a quick look around the inside while we're here. So I've put links in the notes of the video to go where you can go and get the airport from. Just going to slow the drone camera down even more so we can come down to the inside of the airport. So it's a really nicely done airport. We're kind of getting used to this though, aren't we? So if we go and speed the camera up to come down to the airport, anybody who's actually been to Keflavik will probably recognise a lot of the layout of the terminals. Isn't it interesting how airports always end up having like a common look to them? Airports and exhibition centres, they always look the same, don't they? So we've got some stairs here, and I'm guessing there's another level down here. Yep. So we'll speed up Oh, let's come and have a look through here. This is interesting. So it's all nicely done, and they've got fairly good figures as well, look. They're not the slightly corrupt figures you sometimes see, you know, where they're very low resolution. It's pretty impressive. Okay, so coming outside, the various gates are nicely done as well. There's not too much in the way of furniture around, so it doesn't massively impact frame rate either. So if we come over the other side, there's obviously a building site on this side. So they're building a new terminal by the look of it. Or is it a terminal or a car park? Who knows? Looks like a terminal. Or a hotel maybe. And then further up this end, it's quite a stretched out airport because we started out right the way across the other side. It's the Iceland Air service hangars. Okay, so if we just spin up into the air to have a look around the wider area of the airfield, you can see it's obviously shared by the military. There are military aircraft bunkers down this end. I wonder if they've put some static planes in or not. I wouldn't expect it, to be honest. Oh no, they have. Look, there's some F-16s parked up. Very cool. Okay, let's zoom back off into the air, come back over to the other side of the airfield, try and find our aeroplane again. So I think I parked us in this row down here. Here we are. So we're in between, or next door to the 767 in our tiny little CRJ 550. Okay, so that was a quick whistle-stop tour around Keflavik. So this evening we are going to take the CRJ. I'll just come back out of that view. So here we are on the ground in front of the aeroplane. The normal external view, we can spin it around. So let's go and have a look at our route we're going to be taking this evening. We're going to follow a standard instrument departure out of Keflavik to take us back over Iceland. Then a few extra waypoints along the way. And then we're going to do an approach in... Now we may go manual at this point because this isn't an official flight plan. Because this route into Isafjordur is definitely off book. So you have to stay tight to this side of the valley, you skim here, and you do a death-defying turn here over rocks and line up for the runway at the last moment. And we're just going to do it for fun. Because we can in a simulator. So it's a bit of a test of nerve more than anything. So I've plugged the route into Simbrief, so we're going to have a look at how you get that into the aeroplane as well. I have updated the procedure I've written up for this aeroplane. After we've done the flight, I'll pin it as a note onto the video. It's not in the flight notes just yet. Okay, so let's go press backspace to get inside the aeroplane, and we're going to work through the procedure that I've been writing up to get the aeroplane up and running. So we're starting from a cold and dark state. I covered this the other day, but just for anyone's interest, so looking inside the tablet, if you go to aircraft, you can toggle through the default states. So that's I've obviously left it on cold and dark, which means when the airplane starts, it's in that state. Okay, so Shift and 2, we're going to go and connect the ground power unit to the aircraft. Then we're going to press Shift and 3 to go overhead. We're going to go and connect the batteries and the ground power to the aircraft. We're going to go and put the nav lights on just to tell any ground crew around that we're in the airplane doing things. We're going to go and arm the emergency lights. And then we're going to go down to the pedestal And we're going to start aligning the navigation system, if I can get the mouse onto the switch. And then turn the comm radios on. Obviously, I'm not going to bother with ATC tonight, but we'll switch the comm radios on anyway, so we'll probably hear stuff along the radio if we happen to tune into something interesting. And we'll turn ATC selector to number 1. So overhead, Shift and 3, we're going to go and put the APU on. So we open the door first. So if we go and look outside, you will see this door will be winding open. And then we can start the APU. So back down in the cockpit, if we look over here, you will see the APU information here. So as soon as we do have power, the rest of the computers will all come on and the screens. So we just give it a few seconds. And there we go. So APU is operating, it's generating electricity, enough for the screens to work. So we can come back over and we can remove the ground power card at this point because the APU is generating electricity. So Shift and 3. Back overhead, we're going to put the passenger signs on. So we've got no smoking, we want to auto, and seatbelts to auto. On the anti-ice, we're going to go and warm up the windshield. So put the heating on low for the left and right windshields. And have we got any warnings? Yes, we've got some warnings, so we'll get rid of those. Okay, so then we're going to go and look at programming the flight. So first thing we do, I'm going to do it by panning down. If you try and get the camera close to the FMC, the spoiler lever gets in your way, so this is actually a pretty good angle to see it from. So the first thing it wants us to do is go and initialize position, so we'll go do that. So we go next page, and we've just picked them up. Look, the INS system has just aligned, so or the GPS, sorry, has just picked up our position. So we can click on one of those to put it in the scratch pad. Previous page, drop it in. We can put in the airport we're taking off from. I think it's BIKF. Yes, it is, for Keflavik. BIKF. And we don't need to put a gate number in, and we can go across to the flight plan. So we're going to get our flight plan from Simbrief, but I'm going to put at least put the basics in. So BIKF to BIIS is Isafjordur. BIIS. Okay, so then we can go through. I'm going to leave that on that page and press execute for the moment. So then what we're going to do is come back over to the tablet, go to flight plan. I'm going to press import, and that will pull from Simbrief. And then I can send that to the FMS. So if I press that button and look down here, it's gone to the legs page automatically. It's showing me the legs that it's sent across. And I can just press execute. So notice this goes from Luta. So it hasn't got the departure in. Yeah, it's starting here. So I need to put the SID in. So we're going to go over, now we've got the legs in, I executed them so they're in the plane, the actual legs now are active. If we go into departure arrivals, we can say we're taking off runway 28 and we're doing the Loot 3D. That's the SID there, look, the Loot 3D SID. Okay, and we can execute that. And you can see that's all gone solid on the navigation display now. So we can come back out, and for the arrival we are going to do, now we actually have got a plan. This would be interesting to see if it will let us program it. Navigraph wouldn't let us, so RNAV-C Banla transition. RNAV-C onto runway 08 with the Banla transition. It's going to let us, excellent. Okay. So that will take us into the neighbourhood of the airport. It's not the approach, that's only the getting as far as here. And then our own navigation to get in there. Okay. So we've got the basics in the plan. We haven't done the performance data. So if we come back through flight plan and performance initialization, we're going to fly at 25,000 feet during the cruise, and then before we descend back down in, we're going to put our fuel in of how much we've got. We've got more than we need, 4460. And execute those changes. And if we go next page in here, you can see you can influence lots of things about the behavior of the airplane. We're not going to be playing with a lot of that. If we go VNav, again, we're not going to play around with it. It's got the transition altitude in here, which is interesting. So if we go and look at the chart for this SID, has it got it here? Yes, it has. Has it got the transition altitude? 7,000 feet. So we're going to put 7,000 in. So then the barometric pressure will alarm us accordingly. So, you know, when we have to switch, it's behind the yoke down there. The baro switch will be, you know, it won't go off at 18,000, it will go off at 7,000 feet. Okay, so I think that's everything done. So we just execute those changes. Well, everything we need to do anyway. So we'll leave it on the legs page now. So I'm just looking at the live stream comments. Could you post or write up regarding the flaps and the flap settings? I've been following your guides, but that's a completely different aeroplane than I'm showing today. I'm not going to talk about other aeroplanes. The performance calculator in the big jets will tell you what flap settings you should be doing. Okay, so let's have a look. Where have we got to? I've just finished the programming the flight plan, so then Shift and 4 will take us over to... I'm going to do this from the side. It's easier to look at from the side because you can see the screens. So this is the master control panel for the autopilot. We're going to go and set the takeoff runway direction. So that's 280 degrees basically, 282 I think it actually said. So we're going to set the heading bug. So if you look over there, as we roll it round, you'll see it pop up. Whoops. And we can go for heading mode initially, and we'll go nav mode as soon as we are able to in the air. We can also set vertical speed mode or speed mode. So I'm going to go for vertical speed mode, and then we'll change the speed mode when we're in the air. So you can see the rate here. So we'll go for, say, 2,500 feet a minute, which is this airplane is well capable of doing. But we can also go and preset. If you enable speed mode in the air, it will take the speed you're doing at the time. So there's no point presetting it. So when we're in the air, we'll actually go heading mode and nav. We'll go and put the flight directors on while we're here. I think they were already on. Yeah, they were. So that shows you the data and the modes you've pre-selected. So we want heading and we want vertical speed mode. And yeah, it's reset itself, look. So that's an interesting one. By switching off the flight directors, it wiped out those settings. Do we need any courses? We're not doing radio navigation, so we don't need to set courses. We need to go and set target altitude. We're going to set it straight up to our cruise altitude of 25,000. So without a target altitude away from the altitude you're currently at, the speed mode won't do anything. And neither will vertical speed actually. It will stay where it is because it's not trying to get to anywhere, if that makes sense. So, okay, so we're ready to push back and start the engines. So, to do that, first things first, let's go to the aircraft tab. Make sure we've removed the chocks. And we should be able to just push back. So let's press Alt-P. And a tractor has appeared out of nowhere the moment we pressed it. It's not moving though, is he? Press Alt-P again, and here he comes, and he's going to make a real mess of trying to line up with the aeroplane by the look of it. So we just enjoy watching this from outside. Is this his first day reversing in or something? He's having a think about it. Should we put head tracking on and then make him very, very uncomfortable as we watch? He's given up, hasn't he? Okay, we'll let him. Oh no, he's having another go. This always amuses me greatly, watching this sort of thing. So it's going to snap into place, isn't it? There we go. So if I come off the parking brake, I'll take the head tracking off for a moment. So we'll just watch as the aeroplane rolls back. Okay, so we'll say thank you to the truck and let him let go, and we'll go and get on with starting the engines now. So first things first, we look down and release the throttles from shut off. So I'm going to give them a wiggle, there we go. And then shift 5 takes us to the top of here, so we've done that bit. So okay, shift 3 takes us overhead. Beacon light goes to on before the engines come on. Go and put the boost pumps on for the engines. And then start the engines. Oh, we have to hold the buttons in. I keep forgetting that. Okay, so you can see the numbers coming up on the engines. You'll hear a beep when the power transfers over to the engines away from the APU, and then we can obviously go and switch the APU off. While we're waiting for that, actually no, I won't. The thrust reversers are here. We can go and, but they're on the checklist anyway a bit later on. So we're just waiting for the engines to come up. What are the volume levels set to before we get too much further? Okay, they're fine. So Hillary's asking, how did it know the push direction? I don't know. I think it's fairly random. I've had it go the wrong way and the right way. When it goes the right way, it's quite fortuitous. Okay, you just heard the beep. Both beeps, so that's both engines are now generating electricity, so the APU can come off. So APU off, and then press the button to close the hatch on the APU. And then hydraulic pumps can come on. So across there. And then we can go and put the packs on, turn the recirculation on. And then down here, we'll do all this from the pilot view, it's a bit more fun, isn't it? So we got the yaw dampers, so you press that one, then that one. Then you press the stab trims, that one, then that one. That one's stuck in, isn't it? Interesting. Stab trim in test, that should go away after a few moments. Looks like they haven't properly implemented that in the animations of the aircraft, or certainly it seems to behave whether they're pushed in or not. We're going to arm the thrust reversers as well while we are here. And then back on the tablet, going to go and, well, we've already removed the wheel chocks, so to the right of here we've got the nose wheel steering, which we can arm, otherwise we can't steer the aeroplane. Get the flaps to takeoff position. Again, it's usually 20 degrees. You can check this with the performance calculator in here, so you can go and put all the data in and it will give you your numbers if you want to go to that extent with it. Actually, that's a good point. If we go into index, has it got the performance stuff in here? Flight plan, performance initialization, and next page, and next page. I don't think it's got the V number, says it? Interesting. Perf init, no. Okay. We're not going to worry too much about that then. You can see it's calculated some numbers over here. Okay, so taxi lights go to on. And we are ready to taxi. So I'm just looking over here. So the reverses are armed, parking brake is on, seatbelts no smoking, that's good. So take the parking brake off. And you can see we're rolling. So I'm just going to put the parking brake back on for a moment just to see where we need to go. So we're going to go an immediate left, follow the taxiway out to runway 28. So yeah, Hans is saying I'm on the old military side. You can tell that by the hangars actually. If I go for the outside view, yeah, look, military hangar. Whereas the modern gates are over the other side of the airfield, which we saw earlier on in the stream. When we went looking around, you can see them in the distance over there, look, with all the new construction as well going on. Okay, so you can see we're heading off along the taxiway, and then we take a left in a moment, just coming up, look, and we follow out to the runway, which is the apron's just over there. Aha, so live stream, someone's saying you need to put the numbers in yourself on the side console. That's interesting. So I've not really delved into this too much yet. So we can go flaps 20 for takeoff, and then it will, so that's, yeah, it's changing the numbers, look, whoops. So, performance. Yeah, so that's programmed them in, so they'll then be on the, that's a great tip, thank you for that. I've not really played with this just yet. Something else I've seen is there is a takeoff check somewhere. Oh, it's already come up, look, so it does it automatically. Takeoff config OK. So that's probably in response to us having done the numbers, because we'd done everything else. There is an audible warning on the takeoff. If, you know, once you get past 70% on the throttle, there is an audible warning if you haven't configured it. Or, you know, if you've got a missing element in the configuration of the aeroplane. So we're making our way out to runway 28. We need to change the mode on the navigation display. We can do that while we're on route.
Ladies and gentlemen, the captain has advised that we are now clear for takeoff.
They've got lots of different modes on it, haven't they? I'm going to turn head tracking off while we're doing this, just so we can do it without wobbling around all over the place. Yeah, that's the mode we want. We want the range a fair bit closer though. Okay. That's interesting that the head position is very, very close. Okay. So I'm just double checking. We've got heading mode, we've got vertical speed mode. So when we do engage the autopilot, button's right there, it should take over quite nicely for us. So we're about to say goodbye to Keflavik and set off on our journey. So throttles are at the toga detent. So just keep an eye on the indicated airspeed ribbon. It's about 125 knots, I think. Yeah, for rotate. So gear up. Trimming it down a little bit. It's trying to climb like nobody's business. So let's go and engage autopilot and let it take over. Slowly lifting the flaps as we go. So let's go nav mode. And let's go for speed mode when we come through about 220 knots. And let's pull the throttles back to the climb detent. And then we can take the speed back down, or back up, sorry, to 250 knots now. I've turned the weather off because it didn't suit the journey we were doing, so we don't actually have to deal with the barometric pressure today, which is quite nice. There we go, so climb 250 knots. And the plane is starting its route out of Keflavik. So up above, the gear is up now, so the landing lights can come off. We're waiting for 10,000 feet. We're only at 5,000 feet at the moment to turn the landing lights off. It's all a bit humdrum, isn't it? So I will modify the checklist to put the programming of the numbers in, because that's the last piece of the puzzle that gets it to say takeoff check OK. That's interesting. Why is that taking the turn so quickly? It's still in nav. It remains to be seen how good this aeroplane is at anticipating corners, because it got that quite badly wrong, didn't it? If we go and have a look. Oh, it's not so bad. But now it's going to miss it and have to fishtail back. I wonder if it's got enough knowledge to look ahead to keep the turn going. Because it's still turning left, look. And yet the next leg is left. So I wonder if it actually draws, in its head, draws like a Bezier curve. Normalizes the route. So we just come through 10,000 feet, so the landing lights can... Did I not put them on? I didn't put the landing lights on, did I? That was poor from me. I thought I did, but I didn't. Okay. Lee's asking, didn't I turn off the landing lights at 5,000? No. Oh, I don't think I did. I've got a complete mental blank about them now. Okay, let's go and increase the range now on the navigation display. Nice to see you, Lee, by the way. Okay, so you can see the it's not the green banana in this plane, is it? It's the magenta or pink banana, I guess. It shows us the projected climb to altitude. So these are all above restrictions. Look. So we are well above the... Anybody want a sandwich, by the way? They've just announced in the cabin. So I don't know if this will work when we're... Yeah, we can see, look, we can see into the back of the cockpit. Obviously we can go for a walk around. We do need to be a little bit careful about overspeeding in this aeroplane once it gets to altitude. It doesn't have an auto throttle, so you need to balance out the throttles to stop it accelerating. And we can go and turn the reversers off, I guess. So they're not armed, they don't have to be armed in cruise. Just cleaning up the screen, really. So let's go and have a look at the legs page. So we haven't got any wind data, that's interesting. I wonder if we can retrieve it via the tablet, maybe. So takeoff speeds, it'll be in here, won't it? Refresh weather. Will that do that as well? No. Has this got AOC in it anywhere? I wonder. MCDU, FMS1. I don't think it does. I don't think it's quite that clever. Some of the big airliners have AOC, which gives you the data, so you can do weather requests and things like that. It's built into the system in the Airbus just to go fetch the weather. Yes, which helps with VNAV calculations, obviously. So I'm being asked in the live stream comments what I think of this aeroplane. The exact question I'm being asked, for anyone who doesn't get to see the comment, is what is your opinion of this aircraft thus far? I've seen other streamers very critical of this version 2 release. Is it worth it? Depends what your expectations are. And let me just turn this heading round as well to go the same direction we're going. Again, this is just me being pedantic. It really depends what your expectations are within the simulator. If you are looking for a study level aeroplane, there are no study level aeroplanes in any of the PC simulators. To the level that people are complaining about them, there are no aircraft in anything below a few £100,000. These are all approximations, they are simulations, and they are not very good. None of them are very good simulations. They are good enough. That's my opinion. If you want my unvarnished opinion, they are good enough to have fun with and to enjoy. If they were accurate simulations, in any of the aeroplanes, you'd be able to turn around and pull any of the breakers out and cause mayhem. But you can't. In very, very few aeroplanes have got the breakers actually working. For the same reason, you could have, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, things that could be slightly broken around the cockpit that don't quite work as they should. We're getting to 25,000 feet, by the way. So we're going to come back off. We're running at 87% at the moment on N1. You can see it's about to capture the altitude. So you'll see the marker slide in towards us in a moment. And then the speed will start creeping up. It's already creeping up, look. because the aeroplane is winding out the vertical speed. So the same amount of thrust that we were giving it is allowing it to accelerate. And here comes 25,000, look. So what we need to look at is this little bar here. This tells you what speed you're doing. I think it's in 6 seconds in most aeroplanes. So we're going to start winding the throttle out to bring that bar down to nothing. Just do it very gently. So we just want the rate of change on the indicated airspeed to be nothing. But there's no point setting 300 knots on the speed. What I'm getting at is this aircraft does not have auto throttles. It can control speed through pitch. So you can set a speed and it will put the nose at the right pitch to maintain the speed. But as soon as you're in altitude hold, you have to use the throttle to stop it accelerating or decelerating. So I'm going a little bit too hard there. I think it's about just under 80%. Will be good then. The one thing that might make a difference is depending on your altitude you're flying at with the percentages. Obviously the air density is going to make a difference to the speed you achieve. So the weather on the day could make quite a significant difference. So yeah, I'm not going to get too close to maximum speed because of this nature of having to keep an eye on it, and I'm not going to keep an eye on it too much. Bringing it back down again, another couple of percent. So yeah, on about, is it worth it? Yes, absolutely. It's a perfectly good aeroplane. It's got all sorts of features. We can go and look overhead and pull the head-up display down. It's got a collimated head-up display, for example. So if I go and look around with my head tracking, for example, you can see how it works. It's really lovely. So on approach, on a busy approach, that's, you know, got lots and lots of really useful information. And beyond that, if we go and turn head tracking off for a moment and look down here, there is a control panel for it down here somewhere, and I can never remember where this is. But yeah, here we go. So you can manipulate what it does, how it works. I've never really played around too much with some of these. I know obviously how to set the transponders, but beyond that, it's fairly straightforward. It's interesting, you know, the way the systems work is fairly well simulated as far as I know. Unless you're a crew of a real one, this is going to be, you know, is this really how they work? Because even amongst the various Airbuses available and the supposedly accurate Airbuses for the sim, there are wild differences in the MCDUs. So they are all approximations. They, you know, they're fun. It's a video game at the end of the day. And I know a lot of the purists will have a fit at me for calling it a video game, but it is. It's a video game. If this was a true simulator, it would be a lot less forgiving. And there'd be a lot more to do. You know, in terms of checking things and making sure various components are actually working correctly. There's a whole raft of checks I never do in these various ways I get the airplanes up and running to ensure that various systems are operating correctly, and I chop all of those tests out of the procedures because in this slightly simplified world, things typically tend to just work. It's not like the real world where I'll give you a good example. I watched a Fly on the Wall documentary a few years ago where an Airbus pilot was training, and the instructor got it, or sorry, the how you put it, the training pilot that was teaching him, that was sat in this side of the cockpit. The student was on the right hand side in the co-pilot's seat. He got in the seat to do a check ride with him, and this was in a Boeing. Went overhead, went to turn, it was raining, he went to turn the windscreen wiper on, and the knob snapped off in his hand. And it's just that sort of thing that doesn't happen in these video games. That might happen in the real physical, you know, the multi-million simulators. You could do that. You could snap a switch off by accident. There's a funny story about that, actually. I don't know if anyone's ever heard about it. Apollo 11. Has anyone read the books about Apollo 11, about what actually went on? That I don't think they know which astronaut did it, whether it was Buzz or Neil, in the lunar lander, while either putting the spacesuits on or taking them off for the moonwalk. One of them snapped the switch that arms the main ascent rocket for the lunar lander. They snapped the switch off. They didn't discover this until they were working through the checklist to leave the moon. So if you imagine one of these flick switches, they snap the end off of it. And by pure luck, one of them had a pen in their pocket that had a metal pen clip, paper clip on the end. And they pushed that into the switch to make the contact to leave the moon. I can't remember which book it was that told the story. So we're slowing down a bit too much. Look, we've just got it wrong on the throttle, so I'm just going to edge them up a couple of percent. You can see it's immediately responding. It's quite a powerful aeroplane. Just to give you some idea, we're at 80%, look, or just above. So if I push it to the climb to 10, or if I go for maximum continuous thrust, look at it accelerating. It's a quick aeroplane. Okay, we're only at 25,000 feet, but let's pull it back down to... There's your wallpaper picture. They really have done a number with the clouds in this, haven't they? It's very cool. So let's have a look where we are on the chart. We're just about to turn at Turso, and then we head off across the northwestern part of Iceland. Yeah, we're making the turn now. But I think the one proviso about me saying, yeah, this plane is good, as I like most of the planes in the sim. I am easily pleased. That's the only disclaimer I'm going to say. So yes, this aeroplane is a little bit simplified over what some people call the study level jets, so the Phoenixes and the PMDGs and so on and so forth. This is it's kind of a rung below them, but that doesn't mean it isn't fun. And it doesn't mean the procedures that you can implement aren't accurate. There's a lot of aeroplanes in the sim, like, we're overspeeding, by the way. Told you it was easily done, didn't I? So there's a lot of planes in the sim where a lot of the switches work. The military planes in the documentation it freely admits it. The switches are there, they don't actually have any, logic behind them. Or they don't work, as they perhaps should. But they are there, so if you are interested in following the real world procedures, you can. Okay, should we have a play with the tablet while we're on the way? Let's pull up the charts. We have got a chart here, which works really nicely actually, I have to say. Much better than some of the other airplanes that have come out recently. So that will give you a good idea of where we are on the route so far. So if I move the camera over to the co-pilot, I'm going to go make a quick coffee while we're en route, so you can just about see the aeroplane there. And you can see the speed is holding steady. And we'll be back in a few minutes. So the aeroplane's on nav mode on the autopilot just before I go. It's on altitude hold at 25,000 feet. So we're looking good at the moment. Okay, I'll see you in a few minutes. I'm just going to go and grab a coffee. Hello, I'm back. So you can see we are coming in towards Airbox. So I'm going to start descending because we want to go and do some sightseeing around this peninsula. So we're going to immediately begin our descent. Let's go and have a look on the map first. So how high are these hills? 400 meters. They're not that high. So if we drop to 5,000 feet now, so we'll go to 10,000 first, and then slow down, and then drop to 5,000. So we set our target altitude for 10,000 feet. We go speed mode. So we're saying basically go no faster than 310 knots. But if we just pull the throttle back, the aeroplane will maintain or will try to do 310 knots. How successfully it will manage to do it is another matter. So it's adjusting now, look, and it's doing it really poorly. So I'm going to, if I use the spoilers, look, it's going to go even steeper. So what I'm going to do to combat that is put it into vertical speed mode. It is very poor at descending them. But then once we know that, we can work around it. So I'll just set the vertical speed and then use the power to moderate descent. So we're just about holding, we're just gently slowing down, coming through 320 knots. You can see, that's interesting. It's complaining, it's flashing here because we haven't changed it. Obviously we know that there's no difference because there's no clouds, but the aeroplane doesn't know that because we set the weather to fixed. When you set the weather to a preset weather setting in Flight Simulator, the barometric pressure is invariably, or on the default weathers, the barometric pressure is it sets it to 2992 or 1013 hectopascals throughout all altitudes. So it's yeah, an interesting one. So we're just descending down so we can actually see some of the coastline as we come around towards Isafjordur. Okay, down to 12,000 feet. So we'll bring the speed bug back just as a visual reference. So below 10,000 feet we need to be below 250 knots, just as a general rule. So airplane's levelling itself out, so it will coast and lose that speed. So we'll set our next altitude, we could do it now to be honest, to 5,000. And again, it's having a complaint about the barometric pressure because we've come down through the what it thinks is the transition level or layer, sorry. So you'll notice our route cuts off on the way in. We'll have a close look at that in a moment. So it hasn't got, it's probably got a discontinuity, yeah, it's because of the discontinuity look before Banla. So what we can do is just clear that. It's got it wrong, hasn't it? So click Banla, pull that up, execute that, and that will close that gap up. So we are slow now, so we're going to use vertical speed to start descending again. So dropping at 2,000 feet a minute. Could come down a bit more steeply, let it build up some speed. We've got lots of room in terms of airspeed. The only reason I'm doing this via vertical speed is because it looks like the speed controller is a bit rubbish in the aeroplane. So it's targeting 2,500 feet a minute, it's achieving 2.4. So the passengers are going to get an unlikely tour low level across the hills on the way around the peninsula as we come in towards Isafjordur. Okay, that was the 1,000 feet away from the target altitude beep. So you can see it's flashing now that it's about to capture the altitude at 5,000 feet. I'm wondering, it's a bit a bit cloudy to dare go lower with these hills around until we're out over the other side of this peninsula. So let's start bringing the throttles back up to maintain speed. And we are below 10,000 feet obviously, so we'll go and do this correctly this time. Hey, go and put the landing lights on. Other people will see us coming now. Yeah, you can see why I didn't want to come any lower than 5,000 feet, can't you? go and check on the airspeed. Yeah, we're holding 200 knots, that's fine. Let's pick up the speed a bit. Take it out to 250. These features are stunning, isn't it? This weather could be a bit more helpful, couldn't it? So we're going to have a look. We're just about to pass. As soon as we turn right, I'll descend. What we could do is make sure we stay to the sea side of it. So if we add to the flight plan, actually let's just measure it from Cocal. So if we went 25 degrees magnetic, and then towards Bandler from there, we can go low and see the hills at a lower altitude. So what we'll do then is bring the heading bug round. Go heading mode. And let's bring the altitude down then to 3,000. Feet a minute. Got the speed under control. We're going far too fast, below 10,000 feet by the way. I wonder if this can do the Boeing style waypoints. So if we were to say Cocal 025/18, let's see what it does. Oh, did I put 3.5? Whoops. So cancel that then. KOKUL 025/18. Why has it put that in as 3.5? It's almost working, it's gone the wrong way. What I was trying to do is say, based on Cocal, put a waypoint in 25 miles sorry, 25 degrees, 18 miles, which should have put it over here, but it's done it over there, so it doesn't quite work. Or unless I'm just misunderstanding it. Oh well. Because you should be able to program, well, some of the FMCs will let you program custom waypoints. So we're at 3,000 feet. Let's drop to 2,500 feet. How close are we going to get to these hills? This is the danger. So 2,000 feet. Vertical speed. Thousand feet a minute. Let it keep descending. Just work on holding the airspeed.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to land. Please notice the cabin lights have been turned off, and this is a normal procedure for a nighttime landing.
So we're cutting it a bit closer than we projected, but that's fine. I think we're getting below the cloud finally. So we'll actually get to see some of the fjords as we come past. Let's reduce the range on the navigation display so we can actually see it. Coming down towards 2,000 feet. So we're going to do the more difficult runway at Isafjordur. We're going to go for runway 08. That's why I turned the weather off, so we would have a half a chance of doing it. And we're in the smaller. I actually did a test earlier before I started the live stream. I brought the CRJ 1000 in on runway 08 just to make sure it was possible. It was a bit hairy, but it was definitely doable. So I think we may even do a few touch and goes just for a bit of fun once we get to Isafjordur, because it is good fun. Or as one of my ex-colleagues used to say, for a given value of fun. So remember, we're on heading mode at the moment, so we're going to go back to nav mode and see what the airplane makes of it. Now what's it going to do? Which leg does it think is next? It thinks it's going to Banla, and then it's about to switch over to go to IC41. So is it going to make the switch? Yes, it has. Look, good. So we're at 2,000 feet. We're doing just over 30 knots. So this is following one of the RNAV approaches into Isafjordur, but this would normally be, well, there is no close approach chart because it's such a difficult one. If you go and have a look at the charts for this, and then go for approach. So we're doing let's have a look at all of them and see what it gives us. Yeah, it's like once you get to this point and you decide you're going to go for it, it's up to you basically. There's no hard and fast approach. there's like how to come back if you if you've messed it up. But yeah, interesting, isn't it? So here's the valley. Yeah, so we're just turning around. Actually, no, it's the next one, I think. Not this one. Let's keep it on the airspeed. So I'll go obviously full manual and head tracking the whole bit. I'll have to have half a chance of doing it. So the second inlet is where Isafjordur is. Past this headland here. Okay, let's go and go fully manual, shall we? So what I might do actually to show you it is we'll fly past it and then I'll come back out and then I'll do an approach and we'll do a couple of touch and goes just to illustrate the difficulties of landing here. So we've only got a few knots of wind, so that's going to make no difference. It's time to earn our money, isn't it? There's an island in the middle of the inlet. There's a church on it, so when we do a touch and go, we'll bank past the church. It's quite entertaining to look out the window and see it as you're climbing out. Or as you're looping back in, I should say. So the airfield is on that side down there. And we're going to come in from that side. You'll see though, the problem is there's a sodding great hill in the way. So there's the church spire. So I'm bringing the speed down. Okay, so we'll stay tight to this side of the valley.
Too low, terrain. Too low, terrain.
There's the runway.
Too low, terrain.
We may as well just go for it, hadn't we? Rather than overfly it on the first pass. So we're losing speed, so gear down. Below 170 knots now.
Sink rate 300. Pull up. 400. 300. Pull up. 200. 100. Pull up. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
So we'll go around again, just for a bit of fun.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to land. Please notice the cabin lights have been turned off, and this is a normal procedure for a nighttime landing.
Hey, let's go for again.
Simbrief.
So we need to get the speed below 170 to go full flaps. So we just cruise on down the valley. The later we can leave this turn, the better, because then we get less of a turn onto the runway. Okay, full flaps. And you just try and skim this hillside. So yeah, the more we can turn or extend before we make the turn, the better, really. So there's the runway.
Simbrief. Pull up. Pull up.
500, 400, 300,
Pull
200,
up.
300,
Pull up.
200,
Pull up.
100, 50, 40, 30,
Pull up.
20, 10.
There we go. Don't even need reversers. So if we go down to the end, is there a turning area? I think there is. But then this airplane turns very tightly anyway. It's saying that because of the throttle position in relation to the flaps.
Please remain seated until the aircraft has come to a complete stop.
So, taxi lights on, landing lights off, although a lot of people would say keep the landing lights on while you're on the runway. Scenery around here is stunning, isn't it? I mean, look at that. It's a nice place to come and practice landings, though. So this was one of the airfields that Asobo gave special treatment to when in one of the world updates. So it'll be interesting to have a look at it again. I haven't looked at it for a long time. Let's put the head tracking back on. Welcome to Isafjordur. I might have to manoeuvre a little bit to miss his wing. Yeah, we won't be able to follow the lines. And park over on the corner over here. Clap the van. What up? Okay, so hopefully you've enjoyed that flight today. Let's go and have a look at the airplane. If we go and connect the... Oh, we have to put the chocks in place first, don't we? And then we can connect the ground power. Shut the engines down. Obviously, all sorts of switches are going off because we're doing things out of order, but I don't think anybody's going to complain too much. And that comes off. Okay, down here we can go and turn the radios off. And turn the inertial navigation. I don't know if this aeroplane has any options around state saving. Just having a quick look. I've not really looked too closely at some of this stuff. MFD map missed approach. Interesting. No, it doesn't look like it. What's on the next page? There's the sound options. What's a low-cost carrier going to do? Tell the passengers to get out or something. Anyway, let's go and turn the batteries off and then the plane will go cold and dark. So we'll remove the ground power first, I guess. So we can do that up here and then turn the batteries off. That gives us a torch. And then we can come back into aircraft and remove the ground power. And should we open the door and let everybody out? There you go. One day I'll get GSX. And then you'll see the people walking out. So, I'm being asked, are you planning on flying a PMDG DC-6 in the near future by any chance? I hadn't planned on it. I don't think it's officially supported in 2024 yet, is it? I know PMDG said that it seems to work okay. There's a few bugs, but I'd rather wait, to be honest, until PMDG officially release everything. This is where you're going to tell me that it's been released today, isn't it? But no, I'd rather wait. So hopefully you enjoyed that. So that was a trip from Keflavik over to Isafjordur. That was good fun. I like coming into here. It's a challenge. I remember when this first came out, we did it on a group flight and we were trying to land at Isafjordur with ridiculous aircraft. So I seem to remember I just about managed to get the 747 onto the runway here. But it was like, you know, black lines all the way down the runway and there's no way it was going to take off again. Anyway, see you all soon. Take care.